Joan Miro was an artist famous for his playful and imaginative paintings. This very simple project uses some of his favorite shapes and overlaps them just enough to break up that background so it can be filled with lots of different bright colors. Follow along with me and we can make this painting together. Hi, my name's Kathy and I've been teaching kids how to draw for over 20 years now. My favorite thing to do is to show students that when you take things one step at a time, learning how to draw just might be easier than you think. The supplies you need for this project are watercolor paper, a pencil, black crayon, brush, watercolor paint, and water. You may also find a link for a free step-by-step tutorial in the description below. Let's begin with the head shape. It's just a circle that sits in the center and has two round eyes and a curvy line in between for a nose. Okay, since this basically is a stick person, just add a line below the head and maybe a few bits of hair on top. Next comes a line for the hips and a bent leg underneath with just a circle foot at the end, and then another bent leg on the left and a circle foot there too. The arms are drawn much the same way, with a line for the shoulders and a bent arm on the right with a hand, and the same on the left with the hand there too. Now the background is going to be broken up a little with a large half circle on the top of the page, and then we'll add one on the right that's kind of floating by itself, and a really big one near the bottom. Yours can certainly be different sizes, but do try to make them touch the edge of the paper. Let's finish up with two more circles, one around the elbow, and a half one on the right side, and another around the knee, like this. To break up this background section, let's add a little doodle line here between these two circles. Now for some of Miro's favorite shapes, what I call doodle stars. Draw a large one on the top left corner of the paper, like this. It's just lines with circles on the ends. Then add another one of those down below near the right side of the paper. And I think there's room for another one of these in the middle here. When you're done, feel free to add more if you want. It's up to you. When you've finished adding the circles and those doodles, it's time to get out that black crayon and trace over all of those pencil lines, pressing really hard so that they turn nice and black. When all the lines are done, those little circles in the body and on those stars need to be filled in well too. Okay, now it's time to paint. Get out your tray of watercolors and your water and paintbrush. Now I'd like my colors to be on the darker side, so I'm going to add just a little bit of water, and then I'll begin by painting the things I want to be blue. Miro liked to use bright colors, but feel free to mix yours up too. You don't have to follow the ones I'm using. I do love this shade of dark purple, so I'm going to fill in this large circle with it. Notice I'm just spreading the paint out as much as I can and only adding water if I need to. There are two shades of orange in this watercolor tray, and I'm going to use the darker one for this circle. Try to work slowly so that you can keep your paint right inside those crayon lines. Notice you do need to wash your brush between different colors so they don't get muddy. I'm going to continue by adding red to this big circle. Once again, I'm using just a little bit of water so that the color stays nice and dark. And I think I'd like a little more red over here. And a little bit of that red here too. Now it's time to start filling in the background sections. Try to choose different colors, ones you haven't used yet. And notice you can paint right over those doodle shapes because the crayons resist that watercolor paint. Check to make sure you fill in all the smaller shapes too. I also love the light orange color in this watercolor set, so I'm going to fill in this big section with it. And finally, whenever you do use yellow, you need to be sure you have a really clean brush, as it can lose its brightness with even a little bit of other color getting mixed in. When you're finished, it's good to give your painting one last check to make sure you haven't missed any spots. All right, that's it. I think we're done here. I hope you learned that if you add just a little bit of water to the colors in your tray and spread them out really carefully, you will be guaranteed to end up with a really rich and colorful painting. By the way, this project does look great inside a recycled art journal. You can learn more about them on my website. When you visit my website, Art Projects for Kids, you'll find more art history painting projects, including one for Monet and one for Matisse. Over the years, I'm happy to say my website has helped millions of kids learn how to draw and paint. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and if you're watching this on YouTube, remember if you like and subscribe to my channel, you will get notified whenever I post a new video.